We are live, so we're live now. So
Live,
everyone,
live.
calm down. It's good. We're live. Welcome to the Q&A again. Thursday, 1 o'clock. Every Thursday, we try to do it. We have a special guest today. We have a special guest every week, so it's extra special this week. I like to think. Anne here, who's here with us, knows that most people really don't know how to talk to a grieving child, and that silence or cliches only simply pretty much make it worse. So, as executive director of the Lighthouse, she's changing that, creating a space where kids can process loss with others who understand. And she's here to share how the Lighthouse is making sure no child grieves alone, which is pretty powerful.
Mhm.
Ann Smith, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent, thank you. We had you on before. I was last year actually, and so we thought
Mhm.
we'd bring you on and do a little bit of an update and really dive into what we do here, what you're doing, and talk a little bit maybe about some of the upcoming events and how people can support the Lighthouse. Just for a recap, because there may be new listeners, what is the Lighthouse?
So the Lighthouse offers free grief support for children, teens, and young adults whose parent or sibling has died. So we offer support for children as young as 3. So our tiny tots are 3 to 6 years old. And we are the only organization in Ontario that offers support for that age group. And our groups run right up until the age 24, so young adults, pretty much. Um, and those groups came about because our teens were aging out at 19, and they were saying, we still want to get support, but there's nowhere to go.
Mm.
So we thought, okay, well, why don't we start an online group? Because we know that young adults will be going off to different universities, or they might be going off to different towns to go to work. So we thought if we do an online one, support group. This way they can access support no matter where they are. So we started that last year, and we have 2 groups running for that age group now.
That's
So our groups are
incredible.
hybrid, so they're in person and they are online because we don't want there to be any barriers to people accessing support.
Mhm.
And then while our kids are in a group, if it's an in-person group or online, while the kids are in a group, parents can go to a parent group as well. And that's facilitated by one of our amazing volunteers that go through a deep training with us.
And just for the sake, because I know the answer to this, but just so our listeners know, what is the cost of this type of service?
Absolutely free, because there should no be, this shouldn't be the haves and the have-nots are able to get grief support.
Sure.
Everybody should be able to get support. So we've been in the community for 25 years. Our
Mhm.
programming has always been free, and it will remain free.
That's awesome. And so just to on that note, you know, uh, your funding and your support comes wholly from donation, is what you had told me.
Absolutely. Yes, we don't get any government funding. So it's basically the generosity of the community that helps support our programming. So
You,
we do a lot of events,
yep.
and we have our biggest fundraiser is coming up on May 31st, and that's our Run for Lighthouse.
Mm.
So we've been running this event for many, many years, so it's grown in popularity, and it's one of the largest family fun runs in Halton. And last year we had 1,100 participants come out, and it
That's
was
incredible.
amazing. I mean, for myself, standing on that stage and seeing a sea of people out there that are all there to support grieving families, it is incredibly emotional.
Mhm.
And it's just a really fun event. And it's a 1K or a 5K. You don't have to run if you don't want to. If you're not a runner, you can walk 1K or you can walk the 5K as well.
What does it look like if I'm a teenager going through something? What does that look like in your center? What kind of support are you getting?
Yeah, so it's our groups are not one-on-one counseling, they're peer-to-peer.
Mhm.
So it's kids being with other kids who get them. And I loved you did a recent post on social media. And funny, I was looking because you tagged me, I was looking at some of the people's comments, and there was a very, very long comment there, and it happens to be my very, very dear friend, Catherine, who lives in Austin, Texas.
Mm.
So I lived in the States for 3 years, and at that time, our 2 families were, well, they still are very close, but they were intermeshed.
Mm.
And her son Ian died, and he was 10 years old.
Oh wow.
And it was, it was, I get emotional just thinking about it, even though it's been many, many years since that happened. But I think what it was is the things that people said at the time, that people were very well-meaning, but it was incredibly hurtful to the family too, saying things like he's in a better place. And her response was, I think he'd rather be with his family. And I know that people have different beliefs in religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, but some of that stuff, when you're going through that much pain, and I personally have not gone through it, but to see my very close friend go through it was, it's so hard for the family. And I just pulled it up because one of the things she said, um, understand that saying anything to a grieving person when you have zero experience walking the path they are now on is a really bad idea. It causes much more pain than you will ever know and always makes the grieving person feel much worse. Just sit quietly and listen, hold them, and let them do what they need to do.
Mm,
Unless they ask you for more, this is all they need and want from you.
mm,
And I thought, yeah, that is pretty much what we do at Lighthouse. We have a very, very small team. My services team are amazing. They're the ones working directly with the kids, and they're there to facilitate these groups. The groups are going to happen in however that child group or that teen group wants it to happen. Yes, there'll be an activity to start off the group to just get the dialogue going, but that could go off in a totally different direction depending on the group and the group dynamics. But mainly what they're there is they're there with each other to be with each other because they get what they're going through because they're going through it together.
mm,
And I love this one comment that a teen made because we don't have our groups during July and August. So particularly with the teen groups, they get on WhatsApp and they create their group. And she said, think about it. If we were in high school together, we probably wouldn't even be friends because
mm,
we are so different, but we have that one common denominator that brings us together, that we've all suffered a devastating death in our families. And she said, I think that we should call our group the Breakfast Club because really that's what
That's
they
what that
are,
was.
right?
That whole movie was a bunch of different people from different scenarios come together to enjoy their experience in that moment and have that fun and
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's what it is at Lighthouse. I mean,
Mhm.
at Lighthouse, it's a safe space so they can, yes, there's going to be lots of tears, and we have lots of boxes of Kleenex around. So there's going to be lots of tears, but there's also going to be laughter because, and they're going to go through all these big emotions together.
Mm,
And when you think of even laughter, you think, no, seems kind of odd, but then they may not feel like they can laugh at home because, if dad's died, maybe they don't want to laugh around mom because then they see that she's really, really sad and they don't maybe think that that's appropriate to have that emotion, but life does go on and you're
mm,
going to go through all of those big emotions.
mm. It's hard for us, those of us that haven't had like a close loved one like this pass away, to really truly understand what the pain feels like.
Yes.
It's like for men in childbirth, you just can't ever know,
Yes, this is
until you
true.
know.
Yes.
And so like, and not to make a joke of that, but I mean, at the end of the day, seriously, like we just will never know. I had a friend whose daughter passed away, who has actually been to the lighthouse. Actually, you know them
Right.
very well. And our neighbor, 1 year old baby passed away, and
Mm,
her sister, there's the little boy's sister was still, older and understood and what was going on. And
yeah.
it's actually also interesting to see how, whether it's cultural or religious or whatever, how families go through that grieving process so differently in every different scenario.
Mhm.
And to your point of the breakfast club, bringing all of those people together is just so interesting to me because they share that common bond that they didn't want to have in the first place. Nobody wants to
Yes.
have that, but
Yes.
they're able to come together and heal each other through that common bond in a way.
Mhm.
Because you've got families that will wallow in it, and then you've got families that will celebrate whatever the person, I guess, in a
Mhm.
different way. And I've experienced all of it actually,
Mhm.
and it's very interesting. But having that mixing pot just really is interesting to me because people that, like you said, never would have come together, here they are, just
Yeah.
interacting and being friendly. And
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like a snapshot of what the way the world could be in a way.
Yes.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because we have all of this stuff going on outside in the world.
Yeah.
Um,
To
So
find
tell me,
that common humanity, right?
yeah, that's it. We're all
That's
human.
important.
When you take back the skin and whatever else, we're all the same inside. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. It's
So,
so true.
so can you run me through a couple of like the activities and things? Because so I did a walkthrough with you and a group of people through our dance studio because our dance studio supports you with a wonderful performance in November time, and we're excited about it this year. But walk me through because some of those things, like I was sitting in the walkthrough, just like
Yeah.
it's just so wonderful, but also so sad, but wonderful. Like it's hard to explain that emotion.
Yeah, it's true. Like when I walk into Lighthouse and I'm there on a daily basis, when I walk in, I find it hopeful. I
Mm,
don't find it sad. And yes, we are the community that you don't want to belong to because you hope that nothing is going to happen to your family.
mm,
But if something does, thank goodness that we are there. So we do a lot of arts and crafts, particularly for the younger kids, but even for the teens as well. And that could be maybe talking with them about, who here has bad dreams?
mm,
And probably everybody's going to put their hand up, right? So we get white pillowcases and we get some fabric paint, and we say, okay, let's think of something that brings you joy. Maybe it's your dog, maybe it's a rainbow, whatever brings you joy. Maybe it's playing soccer, and let's paint that onto your pillowcase and then let it dry, and then the kids can pick it up at the next group that they have. And so when you're having a bad dream, you can wake up and you can look at that nice drawing that makes you happy and bring different thoughts to your mind at that point.
mm.
So something very, very simple like that.
That's interesting. Very
I
cool.
think I think Justin, we need to do those, do that as adults because of
Yeah, I know.
that tree.
With all the
Yes.
stress of life. I
I,
know, I agree.
I, I just come up with an idea whenever I have a bad dream. I'm going to get up
Yes.
It's
We should
true.
have no tariffs and all of this.
Yeah, that's right.
Blue skies on our pillowcases, so we're not thinking of the economy.
I want the sand and the beach.
Yes, yes, yes. And I've seen beautiful artwork from very young kids with a rainbow and two little stick people, and that represents her and her brother.
Yeah,
And that's what brings her joy, right?
yeah.
One of the things that
That's
struck me
nice.
was how mature some of the things that we saw were from such young
Yes,
children. If you understand what I mean when I say that, like the deepness of the thought into
yes,
what they've done coming from someone who's 10 or 12 years old that you would never expect
yes.
is fascinating and wonderful and incredible actually.
Well, there was one painting that I love, and the little girl at the time, she's now 13, but I think at the time she was like 5. She was very young. And there's a stick person, and then there's another stick person, and there's a squiggly line that goes from one to the other, and then there's this bridge in between. And so as she was drawing it, Erica, our amazing staff person, said, tell me a little bit about your picture. And she goes, that's an invisible line from me to my dad. And
Hmm,
that's a bridge. And I don't think my dad can cross the bridge.
hmm. That's
So
amazing.
like she's 5, right? And you would think somebody so young doesn't get it,
Mm,
but she's starting to wrap her head around the permanence of death, that he's
mm.
still attached to her in some way, but he can't cross the bridge.
Yeah,
That's an
yeah.
interesting point because you did mention that when we were talking about it in the walkthrough, the idea that a lot of people will kind of almost try to almost make it seem like, that person that's passed away isn't gone. And I'm not
Yes.
saying they're definitely gone. Like the death
Yeah.
is final, but we almost look at children like, we have to soften the blow somehow and try to make it seem something that it isn't. And I think you've taken a different path on that in a way, right?
Absolutely, because for us, it's keeping the memory alive.
Right.
And with our founder, Joe, we have 2 founders of Lighthouse, Joe and Marg, and Joe lost her mom when she was very young. And she came from a British background, stiff upper lip. We don't talk about mom.
Right.
We take all the pictures away, so there's no memory of mom.
Right.
We do the opposite. We
Right.
talk about how do we keep that memory alive. The kids at the end of the term, because our terms run September to June, and we break for the summer and then come back. And the kids are given a plain white box, and that's a memory box. And they can decorate it in any way. And then the idea is to put some little mementos in that keep that memory alive of that special person.
Mhm.
And one of our board members, her and her children were with Lighthouse for 3 years. And she talked about how, when they were at Lighthouse and her kids first made that memory box, her daughter would have the memory box right beside her bed.
Mm.
And then as time went by, the memory box went to the shelf. And as more time went by, she found the memory box was in the cupboard.
Mm.
So she doesn't need to constantly have those reminders anymore that are so close by her, because that person's always going to be in her heart. That person's always going to be with her. But
What a fantastic idea.
yeah, and great, because they
Yes.
can put all those things into that memory box.
And you also have a hospital room set up, which I thought was fascinating. So I think
Yes.
you had mentioned the idea is that a lot of people's last memory of their person
Yeah.
could have been in that hospital, which ultimately could create some scary or negative connotation to hospitals, because generally
Yes.
speaking, we go to
Yeah.
hospitals to get better in
Yes.
a lot of
Yes.
cases, and you don't want to create a negative feeling around that. Explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so majority of our families that come to us, their special person has died of an illness. So you're right, that could be the last place that they saw them in, or they were in a hospital bed in the home with a hospice type of situation, or they were in a physical hospice. So we want to take that stigma away.
Right.
We want to take that fear of the hospital away. So we have equipment from the old Oakville Hospital. So it's real, the bed, the little side table. We have an x-ray machine that actually works. So it kind of looks like a hospital room. And kids love to play in there, and they love to play with the equipment. We have large stuffed animals. They might put a stuffed animal on the bed and, checking their heart. And maybe that stuffed animal is going to have a different outcome than their dad did, or their mom did, or brother or sister.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you a story. There was a dad that reached out to us last summer, and he said he was driving to the hospital to take his daughter there for a procedure. And he was super anxious about it. And he started talking to his daughter, and he said, how are you feeling about going to the hospital? Because this is the last place that she had seen her mom. And she said, Dad, I'm not scared to go to the hospital. I play with the stuff at Lighthouse all the time. So whatever we're doing obviously is working, because it had
That's
taken
right.
that fear and that stigma away from her. The hospital wasn't scary anymore.
Well, the last thing you want is to have that child get ill and
Yes.
be told we're going to the hospital, and their immediate thought is, I'm gonna die.
Yes.
Genuinely,
Absolutely.
like that I get where that comes from, and I see that.
Yeah,
So it's an
absolutely.
incredible little experiment or opportunity you have to kind of build trust with it.
Yeah, and
You
I
know?
think it's interesting, because when I take people on a tour, I think the adults are more uncomfortable with hospital beds being in there than the kids are, right? They're like, what the heck?
Probably,
Why is
you're
that in
right.
there?
That's it.
But we
It's
also
the
have, sorry,
the
Carrie.
smell. It's the smell of the hospital that really kills me, isn't
That's true too. And at Lighthouse, it smells nice.
it? I'm
I
coming
can
to
attest.
Lighthouse, but
Yeah, our hospital room smells good. It's not gross. But we also have a volcano room. So that
Right.
is a padded room. All the walls are padded, the floor is padded. We have a punching bag in there. We've got huge stuffed animals that you can throw around. We've got all these spongy pieces that you can put together and build a fort, and then just go and smash it all down, because we know there's a lot of big emotions going on when they come to Lighthouse, and it's anger, it's frustration, it's hurt. There, there are still things that bring them joy too, but there's so many big emotions. So to just be able to go into that volcano room and literally erupt is really and really important. We only allow 2 kids in at a time.
You don't want hurting anybody.
No. And I've been in with 2 5-year-old boys, and I was the monster. And yeah, the foamy things were getting thrown at me because I was the monster chasing after them.
Oh no, that's funny.
But it's fun.
How many families have you helped? Do you have some numbers on that?
Yeah, so last year alone, we helped 420 individuals.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow,
the
that's
nice thing with
amazing.
Lighthouse, we're right on the corner of Bronte and Rebecca. It's an old church, so we've renovated it to suit our needs. And the nice thing is there's a downstairs and an upstairs, so we can have groups simultaneously. We can have the tweens or teens downstairs and have the younger kids upstairs, so we can serve more children.
So I have a note here that there's not many of these types of facilities. I know you mentioned that there's none for the younger age group,
No,
but across
no,
Ontario or even Canada, there's really not many of these facilities at all.
no, we are fashioned off of the Dougie Center in Portland, Oregon, who have been doing this work for 40 years, and we've been around for 25. Season Center is exactly like us, like Lighthouse. They have the exact similar programming. They have the hospital room, they have a volcano room. They don't serve the younger kids, the 3 to 6 year olds, but they're open-ended like us, so families can come as long as they need to work through their grief, because you really can't put a timeline on grief, and they're free. They're free like us as well. And that's pretty much it. There are programs out there that are doing grief support work, but they're 4 or 6 or 8 weeks long. On average, our families come to us for 14 months.
Wow.
And we have 2 board members who their families were with us for 3 years. So you just don't know. Some people might come to us for 6 months and they're like, you know what? I got this. I'm feeling okay. Others, like those 2 board members, they might be there for 3 years.
Is there any fear around people calling you for the first time to reach out for support?
It's interesting because when a death occurs, often what happens, either the school will approach us or the family's very close friends will approach
Right.
us, because the family is totally distraught and
Right.
they're in shock, especially if it's a sudden death. So we do find that the friends reach out, ask about the programming, and then our same response to them or the teachers is, when the family's ready, please give them our information and we're there for them. And then we would do the intake process where they could come in, see the space. We would talk about that special person and the age of the kids and where they're at that time.
Couple more questions. So one, if one were to want to volunteer, is there volunteer opportunities?
There are in 2 ways. We have our event, again, our Run for Lighthouse, May
Sure.
31st. We are moving it from St. Vladimir's on Dundas to Spencer Smith Park in Burlington this year because we outgrew the space. We loved St. Vlad's. They were very good to us. But last year with 1,100 participants on a trail, we thought this is getting a little bit hairy.
Yeah.
So we've moved it to Spencer Smith where we've just got a little more space. So we use like 100 volunteers for that run, that specific run. And then if people wanted to get more involved with us and they think this is the kind of work they want to do, we do bring in volunteer facilitators. So we have like 70 volunteer facilitators that work with our team.
Wow.
They're trained by us. The training is all free. And basically they commit to doing a group, which is once every second week. And so that would be like Tuesday night, 6:30 till 9, with a debrief afterwards. And so if this is the kind of work that they were interested in, we have amazing volunteers. A lot of them have had personal loss. So they want to give back that way and they want to help families.
And what's the easiest way to donate if you wanted to donate?
Just go to our website, Lighthouse Grief Support, and push the donate button.
So
Because
we'll put all those details on the chat underneath here somewhere.
That would
in the
be
comments.
great. Yeah.
And we'll push that out so that people can easily just click below and
Yeah, that would
donate.
be great.
Again, 100% income from donation.
Yeah,
So
pretty
whether
much.
it's the events that you host or just
Yeah.
random donations from people. I know some families that donate every year because they've been there and so on.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
It's a tough gig because you got to fight for every dollar to be able to keep this thing running.
Yes, yes.
That's half the battle for you. I mean, as opposed to just taking
But
care
the
of the
Spencer
children.
Smith Park will give you a lot of exposure because of it being so centralized, right?
Yes.
Downtown
Yes.
Burlington.
Yes.
That will give you extreme exposure.
Yeah.
So how much money do you usually raise for?
From the run alone, last year we raised 250,000. So that is a quarter of our annual budget.
That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Just
Amazing.
a quarter, right?
Just a quarter, we got to make up the other parts too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
No
funny.
problem.
No problem.
Especially with an economy like this.
Yes,
right?
No worries.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I was going to tell you, and is that I noticed that there's a lot of movies coming out about young people dying. whether it be suicidal bullies, that sort of thing. And it must be a huge concern with parents because more and more there are a lot of children that are committing suicide because of bullying. And how do you handle that? And a lot of adults don't really know how to handle that. But it's must be a
Well,
concern.
this is the point, is that, how do you talk to a child when you're an adult and maybe you weren't even part of that family? Like, how do you, where is the connection there? The child has no outlet to be able to express their grief and express their sadness for the moment, or
Yeah,
even anger, or any emotion that they feel like they can. And to your point earlier, they can't laugh anymore because they don't feel like it's appropriate, or,
Yeah.
and you're kind of building back their confidence in them as little human beings to be able to be who they wanted to be. Because the one thing that I'm sure, if you asked every single one of those family members that passed away, they would all say, no, no, just move on. Like, I'm gone now. Go be happy,
One of the
and I,
things that we do offer as well is that we have some resources on
right.
site. So we have a lending library. Families can take out whatever books they want, and they're all listed on our website. And we have tip sheets on our website. So, because
fantastic.
yeah, we're all uncomfortable. Like, what do we say? So you can go to our website, you can access those tip sheets, and they are something as simple as how to talk to a child who's going through grief. What to say, what to say in your classmate. There how to talk to a teen because it may be different than talking to a younger child. Well, we know it's different. They're very different stages of their lives, right? So we have all those tip sheets and people can just access them from our website, print them out. If they're a teacher, they might want to pass them around their classroom, right?
One thing I've done, this is going to sound really cheesy in a way. I had a colleague, Karen, and I had a colleague whose daughter passed away recently. And I just wanted to send a nice text message of support. Chat GPT.
Right?
Honestly,
True.
it was a wonderful little message that came out. I edited it a little bit to be a little bit more personal than what it was, but
Yeah.
as a whole, like, like it was a nice little way of kind of, saying something to know that I
Yes.
was there, but
Yes.
not, I mean, there's no way we can offer any kind of help that would make any difference. Let's be honest. This is not
No.
something that we can do anything about. So
Mhm.
but you just want them to know that you're there and thinking about them, right? So
Absolutely. And
there's
that's what my,
there's so many more resources available to us than we've had before in the past.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure. Yeah.
So
And as
anyway,
my girlfriend said, just be there for them.
just be there.
Just be
Agreed.
there and listen.
Yeah.
And I loved this one comment from one board member, and he said when he went back to work, his daughter had died of cancer, and when he went back to work, people were avoiding him in the
Mm.
hallway.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
would
they
see him
do.
and
They do. Yeah,
they'd walk away in a different
yeah,
direction because
yeah.
they didn't know what to say.
Mm.
And the
And they
right thing
weren't
to
trying to
say
be
is,
hurtful. They were
yeah,
just uncomfortable.
yeah,
Yeah.
So when his boss's father died, he went into his boss's office and he said, "I'm sorry to hear about your dad. Tell me about him."
yeah, yeah. Or how can I be there for you
Yes,
instead of avoiding you?
yes,
Like can I get you a cup of coffee? Can I get you,
yes,
like it's so silly, isn't it?
Something as simple as
yes,
that. Yeah.
It's
yes,
almost like, oh, there's
yes.
somebody that I don't talk to them.
Yeah.
And there's a book written by a gal who was the top executive of Facebook, was it? And her husband died suddenly. Did you read that book, Anne?
I didn't
And
read the book, but I know the story you're telling me. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
and her
yes.
husband, they were hiking and he died
Yep.
on the hiking trail because he had a heart attack, and yet he was in the best of shape. And she was absolutely devastated because this man was her be all end all, right? And
Yes.
so she wrote a book, which was absolutely fabulous because it said so many people avoided her, and it
Mhm.
was just come up to me and talk to me and ask me how I am.
Yes.
That's
Or I just want to live a normal life. So by
Yeah.
avoiding me, you're creating this weird moment instead of just
yeah,
being
yeah,
normal. You know
So
what I mean?
true.
yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
so,
And
well,
that's the thing about Lighthouse is that they can be themselves.
that's it.
It's a
This is,
non-judgmental space
yeah, exactly. You can
where
walk
they
into an
can be
atmosphere that
themselves.
yeah,
nobody's
that's the
judging
full
you.
circle
Yeah.
moment right there.
And
Yeah.
why are people judging you because somebody has passed away, right? Why
Yeah.
are people?
I don't know
it's
that
fun.
they're judging you. I think it's more of an uncomfortability. I think you just
Yes.
don't know what to say. It's
Yes.
so awkward. And that's why I shy away from like the I'm sorry for your loss, because I mean, yeah, I'm sorry about, well, but I didn't do it. It's like I'm
Right.
not, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like the words that you're saying make
Yes.
a difference for people. And putting a little bit of extra effort into something, even if it's using ChatGPT to find something interesting and different to say, is probably
Yes.
better than the
For
alternative
sure.
of saying the same as everybody else,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I just find like, it's all about effort. They're still human beings. They still want love and respect and all the things.
So
And
just one more question, Anne. Is there a maximum amount of people that you can take on annually? Is that what it is, or do you?
Right now, we're in a good space that we do have some room available. Our groups max out at 12. So we have some groups that haven't gone to the max yet. So we do have some space available. And we also have online too. So
Yeah,
if all our in-person teen groups were full, we could create another, we have
Online.
9
online.
teen
Cool.
group
I
right
think
now.
that's brilliant. I
Yeah.
think that's brilliant because is it online by Zoom? Is that what it is?
Yes.
And you,
Yes.
yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
because yeah, it's nice to be in person, but if you can't, then the Zoom is going on Zoom is the
Do,
best
do you have
alternative.
people from out of town that will hop on
We
the
do.
Zoom stuff? Yeah. See, that makes a
Across
huge
Canada?
difference. Yeah.
Have them
We had
across.
a young girl whose mother had died, and she was then in the custody of her aunt, and her aunt lived in Vancouver. And so she had already been coming to her groups and she wanted to continue. So she ended up accessing the groups from Vancouver.
Very cool.
Fantastic.
Little
Very
time
cool.
change to deal with, but that's about it. She's still with the same group, and that was the important thing.
Right.
Yeah,
You've built the
yeah.
relationships and the comfortability to be able
Yes.
to share. And yeah,
The
that's cool.
Breakfast Club.
That's cool. I like it.
Yes.
Well, and listen, I just, this whole thing it's, listen, death is unavoidable, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
there. We
We're
have
all
to
gonna die
acknowledge
at
it.
some point.
Death and taxes, we're gonna someday all come due. And, so, just to have this support and have this type of service and actually know personally that it's so close to us is just a blessing in a way, because
Yeah.
if our family ever dealt with it, I know where we're going. But the work you do is
It's
as
fabulous.
noble
Yeah.
as it gets. I
Thank
mean, you
you.
cannot.
Yeah,
Thank you.
fabulous.
As I
So we
said, I've got an
appreciate you.
amazing team. We're only 6 full-time staff. We're small, but we're mighty.
I
And
love
I
it.
bow down to my services team because to me, they're doing the hard work because
Yeah.
it's the
Amazing.
emotional work.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, that is tough. Yeah. Being
Yeah.
around that all day, every day,
It's hard.
it's hard for
them.
the people, facilitating. So I
But
get
they're
it.
amazing and they're so good with the kids. I love
And
them.
that's the plus.
Yes.
All positive thinking, right?
Yep.
I don't know if I
Absolutely.
could be a facilitator. I would just be crying constantly.
No, me too.
No,
That's why I'm an administrator because I
That's
would
why
be
you're
no
insane.
good. No good. I've taken the training and trust me, I'd be no good to anybody. I
Yeah.
helped facilitate a Tiny Tots group twice.
Yeah.
And I just took the lead from my staff person. I'm like, I'm following you because I'm afraid to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go play in the volcano room with the kids. I can do that better.
That's amazing. All right. Well, we're gonna put all the links, and if you're going
Great.
through something, or if you know someone that is, go to the links below, reach out. If you just want to donate or support, go to the links that we're gonna put in the chat. If we haven't already, we may have already done that. I don't know. Andrea facilitates. Our people are working hard behind the scenes to do this stuff too. So, but Anne, thank you so much for coming on, and I look
Thank you,
forward
Anne.
to Light Heavy Light
Thank you.
November. That'll be fun.
And have a very successful run.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very
Awesome.
much. Thanks for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. We'll maybe have you on again sometime later in the year to update.
Be great. Thank you.
Bye.
Enjoy this gorgeous, sunny, warm day.
Yes, it's so
I
nice.
know.
Take care.
Bye.